Hi guys, welcome to the video. In today's video, I am going to be talking about my officer medical experience because it was quite an experience. I took my test during COVID, so some restrictions are lifted by now. Hopefully things will be a lot more normal for you guys. This was the officer medical center. I had to go to Westbury. Soldier medical test is completely different. The day for me started pretty early. Everyone who is scheduled for that day will get their own little slot. Mine was for about 12 to 1 o'clock, so I actually left the house about 6. It did take me a good few hours to get there from London. Normally they try to schedule you in for a slightly later slot if you are traveling from far. In the morning I made sure that I had everything ready, everything that I needed. I packed some food, which I was really grateful for. Guys, definitely pack a little pack lunch or just like some snacks for along the way. The train journey was okay. It was literally in the middle of nowhere. I remember getting off of the train and just thinking, where am I? You are able to get a bus there, but I got there in plenty of time and then you can just eat your lunch along the way. That's exactly what I did. I decided to walk there. It took about 20 minutes to half an hour, so not that long, and if you have time then it's just nice to get out and just see the area and just explore a little bit. And so I ate before I went in because I knew that going to things like this, you just do not know if you're gonna have the chance to eat or not. I bought like cheese sandwich and protein bar. So when you do arrive, there's like this barrier and you are greeted by this man with his checklist. You just basically tell your name and show documentation that you are supposed to be there, and he gives you a guide of where you need to go to get to this medical center. So of course I got lost somehow, so luckily there was a lady there to help me, but that was not the best start. When you are there, you do have to wait outside for your turn and to be called in, and I saw two guys walking out, and one guy was fully dressed in not a suit but just really smart clothes and polished boots, and I was like, oh my gosh, I came so casual. I thought this was just a medical test, not like an interview. So I did feel slightly uncomfortable seeing that because I thought I was very underdressed. There was 3 nurses waiting at the front desk. You have to wear your face covering while you're in there throughout the whole time and wash your hands before you go in, and then you're taken through to this, just a room, but because of COVID all of the windows were open and it was an absolutely freezing day with the heaters. There was this heater in the middle of the room and it was blasting out, but of course they have to do that just to ventilate the room, and there was literally one other guy in there. It wasn't as if the room was packed because they do have to limit their numbers, which is why it took me about 6 months, 4 to 6 months I would say, to get this medical test. They didn't send me all of the things that I had to bring just to kind of prepare myself, so I'll tell you about that in a sec. When you sit down, there's like these army logoed blackboards. It felt like an exam room. Around the ring of the room there's loads of tables and they're all slotted off with these blackboards with the army logo on it, so it was just like your own compartment as such, with a desk in the middle, and you just take whatever seat you want and they give you this quite thick medical form. While you're waiting you just go through all of that. After you have finished you just hand it to one of the nurses and you just sit back down. So that is like the waiting room. That is pretty much what it is. First up I had the eyesight test. So this is where I found out I was wearing my contact lenses, and you're supposed to take them out a few days before. There was 2 nurses in there and they just both looked at me and was like, oh well, you were supposed to take them out, and they were looking a little bit worried. I thought, oh my gosh, I've come all this way and waited all this time, please don't turn me around to go back home. Everything was sorted. I literally had to take the contact lenses out while I was doing the test, and putting it back in just is so painful. It was pretty much like dry eyes throughout the whole time. So there was 2 ladies in there because one was a trainee, and so another nurse had to be with her to make sure she was doing everything smoothly. It's a bit like going to the opticians. They make you stand on the line and it was like a few meters away from the board, and it's exactly like the opticians with the letters on the board, like going from big all the way to small. You have to get a few lines from the bottom, so pretty small, and so that actually took a few tries, but thankfully everything was cleared on that. And so back to to the waiting room you go. I pretty much had the same ladies throughout. They may do it in completely different orders depending on which room is available, but this is the order that I had. I don't know if they do it in a set order or not. I went in to have my hearing test. So this was a lot smaller room with a desk in the corner for where the nurses go to write all their notes, and a strange machine, grey box in the corner. It was like this soundproof, I say soundproof because it really wasn't, with this seat and these different coloured headphones. And I thought, oh, this is very odd. Never had a test done like this before, so it was all very new and pretty exciting. They tell you the instructions beforehand, and so the trainee lady told me the instructions. I went inside the box, put the headphones on, and then these different sounded pitches go from left to right of your ear. I thought that once you hear it, you just have to click once. And when you hear it again, click it. The noise alternates from ear to ear and gets really quiet. When you're in this box, I could hear the two ladies talking outside. These sounds were really low. Their voices pretty much were louder than these noises, so it was a little bit distracting. But after that, they give you results and talk you through it. But they had realized that for some reason my score wasn't that great. They just said to me, oh, would you come back to the room and do the test again? And I was like, oh, this is odd. Like, I've already done the test. What's going on? They basically said that the trainee lady gave me a bit of a wrong instruction. So for the hearing test, once you hear the sound, you have to hold this black little button for as long as you can hear the sound. What I did was press it once when I could hear it rather than hold it for as long as I could hear it for. So I had to do all of that again, and then they showed me the results. I was like, yeah, these results are a lot better. And they said, thank goodness your hearing is better than your eyesight. I felt so embarrassed because you can't do anything about your eyes, but thank goodness one's okay. After your hearing test, I went in to go and have, I cannot remember the name of it, but you go in, really lovely nurse, told you to sit down and take your top off, and I was like, what? So in the instructions, females need to come in appropriate underwear, and because I don't like wearing bras, I'm just gonna put it out there. So I didn't wear it on that day. So we were faffing around with this blue roll, just trying to cover myself up like a little band-aid to make it a little bit more comfortable for both of us. But after that, you basically sit on this chair. It felt like a bit like a hospital chair. And you just lay there, and she puts all these stickers all over you to monitor your heart. And she presses a few buttons. You don't feel anything at all. It's completely painless. You just literally sit there, and that was it. But throughout our time, I like to get to know people. So I was just asking her questions about how long she was doing this for. And she told me that she was actually working there part-time. For the rest of the time, she was working in the emergency wards where COVID patients go. So that was really interesting to hear. I could have talked to her for hours and hours, and I was just asking her questions about what you actually think of it all. I'm not going into too much detail here, guys, but she just basically said how horrific and stressful and just how traumatizing the whole situation is. And I just said to her, this is something which I personally feel like if you don't actually see things like that in person, then you just feel like it doesn't actually exist, or it just kind of goes towards the back of your mind and you don't realize how serious things are. I just found it so interesting to talk to someone who had been at the front line and just been through something like that. Those 3 stages were pretty quick. They were literally one after the other. You go back to the room and then you wait like 5-10 minutes. But this one, I was actually waiting for quite a while. I had gotten to the medical centre about an hour early, so I thought, oh, will they let me in? They did let me in. I thought, oh, I might be able to get out a little bit earlier. I had to wait an hour, maybe an hour and a half till my doctor's test. I was also told that there's a male doctor. I had the female one, and this is also where you need to make sure you are wearing appropriate underwear. So I had the same situation going on. You need to strip down, and thankfully they had some spare shorts in the medical room. The first thing that she does, or he does, is go through your medical, and this is also where they look at your mental side. They also had to look into certain things and ask you a few more questions, or if something flags a red light for them, then they will ask you. So one for me is that my mum died at 39, which is counted as a sudden death, also at a young age because she was under 40. I may have had to have a number of tests for that, but thankfully I didn't. And because my mum passed away so young, she was asking me lots of questions like, how did you cope with her passing away? How did you get through it all? and asking me loads of questions about my background and my past to make sure you are sane, which is really good. After all of that's done, she will take you to the hospital bed. It literally felt like a doctor's. They're sitting at their desk with a little computer, typing their stuff away or writing the things down, and they take you to their chair. She was like moving things around back and forth, feeling different things, making sure everything's fine. They check your feet and muscles and like joints and things like that. After that, they make you get up, do a few squats and lunges and press ups, stand here and do this, all sorts to make sure everything is fine. That is your last stage. This is where they will tell you whether you've passed or you've failed. So I was going in feeling a little bit nervous. What if there's something that I don't know about that they find and I can't get in, because it just would be completely devastating. But thankfully I passed, and she gave me this green form. You get a copy of it too, and then they send you on your way. Let me just say, everyone there was so nice. The environment was just so chilled and relaxed, so don't feel worried at all. Just go in, just do your best with everything, and that's all you can do. But overall, I literally had the most amazing experience. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Good luck with your medical test if you are about to take it, and I'll see you guys soon.